Hello, it is Saturday, August 3rd, 2024, and this is Political Dharma with Alan Zundell. As those of you who have been following may know, I am broadcasting from yet another location. This is the condo in California that I moved to. My wife still in Oregon for the time being, and our furniture is on a moving van somewhere. So I do not have my desk, my computer, my camera, or my microphone. I am bringing this to you via my smartphone and been taking notes on news reports using a pen and notebook, trusty old media. So I'm going to cut this into two segments today. I'm going to do this one on the Mediaite article about that private Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Donald Trump meeting that happened a couple of weeks ago, and then I'm going to do a second video this weekend, this one on ballot access and where the candidates stand with that, although I don't have my usual charts because that's all on my computer. So let's start with the Mediaite article. Now this appeared on July 26th, Friday, which was the same day that I posted the most recent of my videos in which I discussed this topic. And the topic was how right after the assassination attempt on Donald Trump, he called Robert F. Kennedy Jr. that evening and they talked for a bit, and then they arranged to meet privately in Milwaukee where the Republican National Convention was being held over the next few days. And in my video, I had some speculation about what went on in that meeting, and I was trying to counter the narrative that was coming out of the media, specifically the Washington Post. And what I find in this Mediaite article is a confirmation, if you want to call it that. They also use anonymous sources, so I would call it more of a correspondence. It does come up with the same view that I came up with on pure speculation, and that is that it was Donald Trump who reached out to Robert F. Kennedy Jr., that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was hanging out at the National Convention because they were preparing to do a joint speech together. So the Mediaite.com, you can find it online. You just Google Mediaite, that's MEDIA, as in media, and then ITE.com. Google Mediaite RFK, and you should be able to find this article pretty easily to check it out for yourself. Appeared 2 weeks ago, so this is kind of old news by now, but you may not have heard it, so I'm going to go into it a little bit more. And the article was entitled Exclusive: How Trump and RFK Jr.'s quote unity unquote deal fell apart, by Diana Falzone. And Mediaite, some of you have asked me, is this at least one person asked if this is a legitimate news site, and it was. I looked into it through their own website and through Wikipedia. This is all I know about it. They say they were founded as they describe themselves as the top U.S. website covering the intersection of media and politics. It's a U.S.-based organization founded by Dan Abrams, who is like 3 decades of experience in the news media here in the United States at NBC and Nightline and other positions, especially at NBC. So he's been around for a while. He's an established media figure, and they should have, some editorial vetting of what they say. So this article was again based on anonymous sources, and my guess on this is that the anonymous sources the Washington Post had leaned more towards a narrative that the Trump campaign was putting out, that Kennedy was seeking a deal with Trump and willing to endorse him, whereas these sources in this article seem to be coming more from the Kennedy campaign to correct the previous one and say, no, our version is that it was Trump who was trying to get a deal out of RFK. RFK was not interested in endorsing Trump, and instead they came up with a different plan. So this article says that the sources with knowledge of the meeting, again, anonymous sources, say that Trump requested a meeting with JFK after the assassination attempt, and what he wanted was an endorsement, but RFK was not interested in doing that, refused from the get-go apparently. But they did agree to do a joint announcement about the importance of national unity and make this announcement at the Republican convention. So the Trump campaign team asked Kennedy to draft a unity government proposal regarding what they would work on together. And for example, vaccines, the potential problems with vaccines and also the issue of government corruption. And they asked what role Kennedy would like to have in a possible future Trump administration. And I guess Kennedy responded with some ideas and said that an appropriate role might be head of Health and Human Services, one of the cabinet level departments in the United States government. So, of course, the big thing with Kennedy has been exploring the sources of the explosion of chronic illnesses in the United States, especially among young people. But soon the Trump campaign went dark. Kennedy was hanging out, waiting to make this joint announcement at the convention, which is again what I speculated, that he stayed there for a few days because they were expecting to do something together on the topic of quote unquote unity. But the Trump campaign for some reason never followed through, and we don't know why that is, but I assume it's because without an endorsement, this looks like it could boost Kennedy, who is, according to the polls at least, seems to be doing more to harm Trump's potential for getting more votes rather than that of Harris, Kamala Harris. So that's the story that they're giving out, and I congratulate myself on my speculations. If this story is accurate, I got the story pretty much right on. I get other stories not so well, I suppose, but I'm happy to say that I didn't mislead you too much if this is true. So that's my story on Mediaite, the Mediaite article, and I'm going to do a separate video on ballot access and where the candidates stand with that, because Kennedy had a major announcement about that this week. So you can look over for that one. I think this is what I'm going to do in general as time goes on. I'm going to cut up my stories into shorter segments because they're easier to do. I'll talk more about that in a future show. Thanks for watching once again, and stay tuned for the next video.